Reading a z-table. So a lot of times you're going to get two pages. One's going to be called a positive z-table, one's going to be a negative z-table, and your z-scores are actually located in the column and the row. Specifically, the first decimal place is located in the column. So you might see something like 0, 0.0, 0, 0.1, 0, 0.2, 0, 0.3, so on and so forth, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way down. And then over here, you're going to have the second decimal place, 0.00, 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, and so on. And well, what do you do with that? Let's say you're asked about a z-score of 1.23. So for a z-score of 1.23, you would look at the column for 1.2, that's the first decimal place. The 3 is the second decimal place, and find where they meet like a treasure hunt. And what are you finding? Everything in here is the probability value, specifically the lower probability value. And that's what a z-table reads. So visually speaking, whatever you just looked up, you specifically looked up 1.23 standard deviations above the mean. So at that point, you found the lower probability. And typically, if you do this, there's three types of questions. If you're asked for below, like what's the, below a z-score of 1.23, well, then you're done. You found the p-value. If you're asked for above, then you do 1 minus that because that's called the complement, if you recall. And if you're asked for in between, then you're going to subtract two p-values, the higher minus the lower. You're going to get two z-scores to look up two p-values and then subtract overall. And this is great, but let's give you the actual visual. So here I'm going to show you an example of a z-table. So here we go, new share. Let's go for the positive. Here's an example of a positive z-table where you can see on the left, you've got the first decimal place. On the top is the second decimal place. And everything in the middle, you notice, are your lower tail probability values. A z-score is the number of standard deviations above the mean. If a z-score is positive, you're above the mean, which notice that means that all of these are above 0.50. If your z-score is negative, well then, in this case, you're below the mean. Notice everything is below 0.50, except if you get a z-score of 0, that means, check it out, you're exactly at 0.5000 because that is the mean. That is the halfway point down the symmetric bell-shaped normal distribution. And so you're going to see, we're going to explore several examples working with a z-table.